Well, today marks 3 years since war broke out in Sudan. This is a conflict that, while not in headlines, has spawned what is described as the largest humanitarian crisis right now on this planet. It's estimated at least 150 people have died, and according to the World Health Organization, more than 13.5 million others are currently displaced. The United States has labeled this conflict a genocide. Arjimand Hussain is the Regional Response Manager for Plan International Sudan. He is joining us now to share what he has seen and experienced on the ground. Good morning.
Morning.
Arjimand, you've been on the ground in Sudan multiple times since this conflict broke out, and part of telling the story is showing what's happening there. And some of those images might be upsetting for our viewers, but it is the reality of what is happening right now. What are some of the biggest challenges facing refugees today?
Firstly, thank you very much for putting this agenda on the morning show of your channel. Sudan hasn't really got the kind of attention, the media attention that it deserves, as you rightly said, that it is the world's largest humanitarian crisis right now. So thank you very much for that. As we see, currently 33.7 million people in Sudan need humanitarian help. And as we know that the current, the scale of the crisis is so large that we are overwhelmed. There are multiple crises happening in the country. We have 14 million people who are displaced. And out of those, about 9 million are internally displaced within Sudan. And then we have 4.4 million again who are refugees in the neighboring countries, spanning from Egypt, South Sudan, Chad, Ethiopia, and other neighboring countries. And this is a kind of a crisis that we haven't seen in many years. And looking at the number of children affected, girls affected, we have about, 42,000, separated children who have been registered by the UN system so far. And then talking about girls and women, the figures are astounding. In 2023, at the start of this crisis, we had 3.1 million girls and women who required support for gender-based violence in Sudan. And today's figures are, again, very astounding. We are talking about 12.7 million girls and women requiring support for gender-based violence that they have undergone in the country.
Arjimand, the numbers in this story are staggering. The displacement numbers alone and the displacement of children and the fact that rape is used as a weapon of war in this conflict supports what you're saying. But when we use phrases like humanitarian aid and life-saving, can you talk to us about what that actually means? What's missing that people need to understand, like surgeries without anesthesia? What is missing on the ground for people?
Now, what is missing is almost everything. First and foremost is protection for children and girls. We are talking about a population, roughly, the entire population of Canada, which are out of their homes. And then let's imagine these children who are not in the protective environments of their homes. They had to shift from their original locations to multiple other locations within the country without any basic protection. So protection is a fundamental requirement and a crisis at the moment. And then we are talking about food needs, children, girls, and families who are not able to do farming. Families are not able to do farming because they had to relocate from their original locations. The local markets are not really functioning as they used to. Inflation is too high in Sudan. They don't have the necessary resources to be able to buy food. Hence, they rely on the humanitarian system, most of them, to get their food requirements. And then we are also talking about schooling. We have at least 3 to 8 million children who are out of school in Sudan. And these are the children also who are not being able to be in protective environments. And that's another very difficult situation. And then we are also talking about the health sector, as you mentioned. We have these very recent reports of the UN system and the MSF, which talked about the kind of challenges in the healthcare sector. We have seen a leading trend currently of drone strikes, armed drones hitting hospitals across Sudan. And that has put the health sector under strain. doctors, nurses, they are not able to provide the necessary medical care within these establishments because many of these establishments have either been closed or they continue to face the risks of armed drones.
Yeah.
So quite a difficult situation.
Arjimand Hussain, I want to thank you for joining us today because you're right. As we look at other conflicts and we talk about, ceasefires and peace deals being planned, this is a war that is entering its 4th year. It is ongoing, and it continues to be the largest humanitarian crisis on the planet. I want to thank you for joining us with your experiences on the ground and reminding us to keep an eye on this story. Thank you.
Very much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.